You've probably have heard the term exit strategy. An exit strategy is essentially a plan to get out of whatever circumstances that you're currently in. The COVID-19 pandemic has forced many people to really think about what their exit strategy is. Unfortunately, there have been a lot of companies who have been faced with furloughs, layoffs, and restructuring. So people have been fearful of their jobs or their hours have been cut out. And now they're thinking about, what am I going to do to make money? And so they're thinking about their exit strategy. Or we've had to rethink how we conduct business, what the work environment looks like. And some of those changes just aren't working for some people. They've decided, you know what, I need to move on to something different. I can't work like this anymore. And so they're thinking about their exit strategy. And even long before the pandemic, people have been leaving companies for many different reasons. Some people go into a job knowing that they're going to leave it. They want to just learn as much as they can for a few years, kind of like an apprenticeship, before they move on to something bigger or they start their own company. And that's totally fine as long as everyone goes into that with eyes wide open. But then there's other people who don't go into a job thinking that they're going to leave, but they wake up one day and they are miserable. They don't want to do it for a minute longer, or something changes and they say, you know what, I don't want to be here anymore. I need to move on. Maybe they hit a ceiling, or they've tapped out of their growth potential, or they get bored. I mean, who knows? There's so many different reasons. But it got me thinking, what does a company culture look like where the average employee doesn't have an exit strategy? What would it take for that to happen? And so a few things come to mind. I think people need to feel valued and appreciated. They need to be recognized. That's a big deal. People also need to understand the why of the company and how they fit into the bigger picture. Of course, people need to be empowered to do their job and do it well and feel secure and confident in what they're doing. And people also need to feel like they're going somewhere, not just the company. I mean, we need to know what the strategic vision for the company is. We all love to hope and look forward to something, but also as an individual, meeting with your manager and talking about your career goals. And we often meet, once a year to talk about, okay, what are the goals for this year? What was the review from last year? That's pretty common practice, although you really need to have a continuous dialogue between managers and direct reports. But what we don't talk about enough is what demotivates people. We talk about strengths and motivators and goals, but we don't spend enough time talking about what conditions would it take for someone to leave. Whether it's the work environment, the management style, sometimes there's just one opportunity for career advancement, one open position, and there's too many people gunning for that position. And so someone decides, I don't have the growth potential here. I need to move on to another place where I can truly grow and continue up the ladder, because that's part of their career goals. Or maybe someone just wants to relocate because there's a specific state or location that they really want to work at, or they need more job flexibility, so they're holding out for that opportunity. But what's important is that there's this open and continuous dialogue between managers and their direct reports, so they understand not only what are the career goals, but what are the conditions that someone might leave. I mean, I'm sure you've heard the adage that people leave a leader, not a job. And that's often true. As you continue to change in your job and your responsibilities or your position, your team might change or your manager might change. And what was once a great environment suddenly becomes very toxic or boring or unmotivating. So understanding all of those aspects and continually having that open dialogue, I think that's important as part of that work culture. But these are just my first ideas. I'm sure there's a lot that I'm not even thinking about or addressing here. So I want to know your feedback as well. What does that work culture look like where employees don't have an exit strategy? And what has convinced you to stay? And what are some of the reasons why you've left? I want to know, as a community, let's talk about it. I appreciate your thoughts and feedback as always. So thanks, y'all.